All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the unsung heroes of our digital world, the uninterruptible power supply. You know it as the UPS. We've got a professional tech spec sheet as our guide, and we're going to dig into the technology that honestly, silently protects just about everything. Okay, let's get right into it.
Just think about it for a second. The giant data centers that stream your movies, the cell towers connecting your calls, all the critical systems in a hospital, every single one of them relies on one simple thing: a perfectly clean, totally stable, and completely continuous flow of electricity. It's really the lifeblood of everything we do, and most of the time we don't even give it a second thought.
Because here's the thing, the power coming out of the wall, it is rarely perfect. It's got all sorts of fluctuations and little interruptions that can cause absolute havoc on the sensitive electronics we depend on. Even a tiny dip can mean big problems.
And look, we're not just talking about a total blackout. You've also got these brief sags. You might know them as brownouts, and then these really powerful spikes or surges that can come from lightning or just the grid switching things around. Any one of those can corrupt critical data, crash an entire system, or just physically fry your expensive hardware in a heartbeat. The cost of that kind of downtime, it's huge.
So how in the world do we protect our most important gear from this, well, volatile electrical world? We hire a bodyguard, a dedicated digital guardian, the uninterruptible power supply, the UPS.
For this explainer, we're going to zero in on a specific example. This is the Genesis NTC RT Pro series. This thing is a perfect case study for understanding the kind of advanced tech that keeps our digital world online and humming along.
At its very core, a UPS really has two main jobs. The first one is what everybody thinks of. It's a battery backup for when the power goes out completely. But its second job, and you could argue it's even more important, is to constantly clean and condition the power, protecting your equipment from all those other nasty disturbances we just talked about. Now get ready for this number. 0 milliseconds. That is the time it takes for a true online UPS like this one to switch from grid power to its own battery. It's not just fast, it's literally instantaneous. The equipment plugged into it never ever detects a flicker.
So how does it do that? How does it get that instant transfer? It's through this really clever process called double conversion. The best way to think about it is this. It takes the messy AC power from your wall and first turns it into clean DC power to charge its batteries. Then it uses that super pure DC power to create a brand new, absolutely perfect AC signal for your equipment. So it's not just filtering the power, it's completely rebuilding it from scratch.
Okay, so we've got the basics down on how a UPS works. Now let's do a little tour. Let's take a closer look at the hardware itself and see how it actually connects to the systems it's built to protect. The back of this machine is way more than just a power strip, okay? This is a sophisticated command center for managing, monitoring, and expanding the whole power protection system.
You know, just looking at these ports tells a whole story. That intelligent card slot, that's for a network card, so an IT admin can keep an eye on the UPS from literally anywhere in the world. The battery connector lets you daisy chain more battery packs to go from minutes of runtime to hours. USB and RS-232 ports let a server talk directly to the UPS so it can do a graceful automated shutdown. And those parallel ports, that's for scaling up. You can link up to 4 of these units together for more power or even for redundancy, where if one fails, the others just take over instantly.
And then you've got this little guy, the Emergency Power Off Port, or EPO. Think about a data center. If there's a fire or some other disaster, you need a big red button to safely and instantly cut power to everything. Well, that's exactly what this port is for. It's a critical safety feature in these high-stakes environments.
Now, all that stuff on the outside is controlled by some seriously impressive tech on the inside. So let's move from the outside in and see what gives this digital guardian its smarts, its toughness, and its stamina.
The heart of this whole system is its fully digital control unit. Now, this gives it a huge advantage over older analog systems. It can react to changes in power or what's plugged into it way faster and with much greater precision. And that's exactly what you need when you're protecting servers that are super sensitive to any kind of power fluctuation.
And that digital brain is running a whole suite of protective measures. We're talking serious surge protection, up to 6,000 volts. It also actively protects against overloads, short circuits, and overheating. It even runs constant self-tests on itself to make sure it's ready to go and watches its own fans to make sure they don't fail. It's a real fortress of safety features.
Of course, a UPS is nothing without its energy storage, right? This series gives you 2 different choices for battery packs, the traditional sealed lead-acid battery and the more modern lithium iron phosphate option.
So what's the difference? Let's just translate these numbers into plain English. The lithium option? It gives you more than double the lifespan. That means fewer replacements and lower costs over time. It recharges in half the time, so you're back to full protection way faster after an outage. And that weight difference is huge. We're talking less than half the weight. That makes it so much easier to install and, puts a lot less strain on your floor.
Here's another key number for you, 95.5%. That's its peak operating efficiency. Now this matters because higher efficiency means less electricity is just wasted as heat. And over the life of the unit, that translates directly to lower cooling bills and just lower running costs in general.
And this table right here really lays out the evolution of this technology. I mean, compared to the last generation, this new series is cleaner on the grid, it charges batteries 50% faster, it can handle 3 times the surge voltage, and it adds that critical support for modern lithium batteries. It really is a massive leap forward on every single important metric.
So we've seen the specs, we've seen the performance numbers, but what does all this cool tech actually mean out there in the real world? Let's take a look.
What it means is that in places like this, offices, hospitals, server rooms, network hubs, business just keeps going without any interruption. Critical data stays safe, communication lines stay open, and the digital infrastructure that really powers our economy stays stable, secure, and always on.
So, if we boil it all down, the crucial takeaway is this. Our complete dependence on digital systems has made clean power an absolute must-have. A true online UPS isn't just a battery backup, it's a full-time power bodyguard. And as we've seen, the tech inside these guardians is just getting smarter, more efficient, and more resilient all the time.
So maybe the next time you're online, just take a second to think about the invisible infrastructure, these digital guardians that are quietly keeping our entire digital world spinning. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.